This is part 2 of assembling the front end on the Subaru. In the last video we went ahead and put on the sway bar, the Powerflex bushings, one of the ABS sensors, the drop links and the cross member bracket. In this video we're going to be pretty much finishing the rest of the front end. We're going to begin by degreasing the front passenger arch. I've rust treated a small area in the top mount that was rusting, so I just want to degrease the area and then we can, as I say, underseal it, and that means it's ready to go. Let's go. Right then, to degrease the area I'm just using some sugar soap and a microfiber cloth. But we could, I suppose, use some jizzer, which I do still have some, believe it or not. Throwback to the video in the unit. Some jizzer, as we are going to be jizzing all underneath the car. That is degreased. Let's wait for that to dry and then we'll begin undersealing. First, we need to mask off all the areas, as I don't want to get underseal over everything like I did before. We'll use Gareth jacket as a main source of protection. I'm sure he won't mind. I've removed the brake line and I've put a plastic bag over the brake pipe. Are we ready? There we go. Job done. Right then guys, for the next task, you join me underneath the car and we're going to be cleaning up all this overspray mess that I caused with the underseal. Now Rich, who gives me what seems to be endless tips and tricks at this point and advice on building this car, has suggested I put some petrol on a rag and give it a wipe. So I found some stale fuel in a fuel can and we're going to test it. Are we ready? Bloody hell, it works! What on earth? Oh my god! Should I be surprised? It amazes me because somebody commented on your last video, sorry I can't remember your name, and suggested for cleaning the exhaust that I use toilet cleaner bleach, and I haven't been able to find any, the specific one that you said, but how on earth would you think about using that to clean your exhaust? But if I manage to get some and it works, I will honestly, well this works, so I wouldn't be surprised if that works. But yeah, how do you think about using this stuff? Right, moving on. This isn't a task of sorts, it's more of a problem we have to solve. I've got a leak from the sump plug, which could be for two reasons. Well, one, I've always had one, perhaps, that I wasn't aware of. Two, when I tried removing the bolt in the unit, I was tightening it instead of undoing it. So I could have killed the gearbox, that is the worst case scenario. Or, when I did remove the plug, it didn't have a crush washer on it. There seems to be much debate online whether it needs one or not. At least from what I've read, some people say, well, I removed mine and it didn't have one. Other people said, well, mine had one and, you know, that's it. Other people say, well, I put one on, having not had one, and it's not leaked since. So, yeah, I've not got one, so we're going to put one on when we fill up the gearbox at some point soon. And, well, fingers crossed, it doesn't leak, because it's not going to be great, is it, if I've got a knackered gearbox, having done all of this work, because God forbid I have to remove this gearbox again. Right then, so I've gone ahead and put the new clips on for the CV axles. A lot more secure, I must admit, so I'm pleased with that. Oh, and you may also notice I've gone ahead and sprayed the middle section black. It was chipping all away in places, so I figured, you know what, the spray that I've been using for the shocks, I'll just spray over this. Well, there's a bit of chipping there, I suppose, but yeah, we'll just leave it. I'm not too fussed. But yeah, let's go ahead and put it on the car. Oh, yes. Get in. Get in. Get in. That was a ball ache. One thing I should mention if you're replacing these clips is be sure to get yourself some of these cutters or pliers, whatever you want to call them. I have no idea what they're called. I've had them a while, but this essentially, without, I don't think you probably could do it without them, but this makes it far easier. They go in there, so you can squeeze it together so it locks the teeth in place. Right then, next up we're going to be pushing the new wheel bearing into the new hub. This is what you get in the box. You get your wheel bearing, you get your retainer clip, you get your inner seal which goes on that side, and then you get your outer seal which goes in there, and then of course you get your hub nut. So I'm hoping this is going to be fairly straightforward, if I'm honest. I'm not going to have any resistance whatsoever. I think it will just push right in, but let's go have a go. Right then, so we've got a hub under the press, we've got a wheel bearing. The good news with this one, it just seems to line up perfectly from the get-go. No messing around with that. It's easier, if I'm honest. Right then, with the wheel bearing in, we can now put the retaining clip in. There we go, that's our retaining clip in. And we've got a seal that goes in. And there we go, that is our wheel bearing in. Both seals in place, front and back. Pretty pleased with it. All we've got left to do now is the hub. Right then, it's the next day. We're going to be pushing in the drive flange into the hub, so then we can go ahead and put it on the car. One thing to note is that you have to support the inner race when pushing in the drive flange. So I've got something that's roughly the same diameter as the inner race. We'll get a hub or drive flange, whatever you want to call it. There we go. There we go. That is our drive. Well, that is our hub fully assembled. We can put in our ball joint, and then we can go ahead and put it on the car. Right then, let's get this hub on the car. put our cone into our control arm. We've got no CV joint on this side put in as of yet, and that's because I still need to put the boot on, which we'll be doing after this. Right then, that is the hub in. I'm pretty darn pleased with it, to be honest. We do have a few issues, however, and it's mainly to do with bolts. I'm not sure what bolt size is required for the ABS sensor. You also got the cable clips onto the strut. I'm not sure what size bolt that is. And we do need a new castle nut and pin for the tie rod, as I seem to have lost mine. Thankfully, they're not too expensive. It's about £1.95 for the castle nut and 15p per pin from ICP, so not expensive at all. I'll leave a link in the description for both of those, and if I manage to find the bolt sizes for these, I'll let you guys know. But other than that, that is the front end done, minus bolts. Also, I didn't record it, but I've replaced the sump plug for the gearbox as I had a very small leak coming through, so I'm not entirely sure why that is, but I've added a washer, and that seems, I've left it overnight, and as you can see, it doesn't seem to be leaking anymore, so fingers crossed that solved the problem. I'm not sure why my original one didn't have a washer, but there we go. Right then, good news, I've managed to secure the ABS sensor to the hub as well as the shock. It's an M8 nut with a 1.25 thread pitch, which is pretty common on Subaru. So I've gone through the bolts that I robbed from the scrapyard, and these two are perfect. I need to clean this one up a bit, but thankfully I've saved myself basically £2. They're 95p each for this exact bolt from ICP, so yeah, that's one less thing to worry about. I'm glad I've done that. That is now all ready. All we've got to do is, well, all we've got to do on this side is sort out the castle nut and pin for these two, and then we can go ahead and whack on the brake disc and calipers. I haven't ordered those yet. But yeah, that is the front end fully assembled, essentially, other than the brakes and the brake lines and a few bolts. That is ready to go. Pretty darn pleased with that. Look how good the new hub looks as well. Right then, it's a little while later on. The bench is an absolute mess, but I'm just organising everything for the Brembos. I'm not assembling them just yet, but I do want to get everything organised so I know if I need to order anything. So this is where I'm at. We've got one rear caliper with everything required to assemble it, as well as the new seals and all that. We've got another one that's got everything but one piston. I'm missing one somehow. God knows where it went. And then we've got the front. I've got everything in here required to assemble one. The bolts need a good clean, but all we're missing is this top plate. I don't know how much they are, if you can even buy them separately, so I'm going to have to search that up. I did find these plates lying around, but God knows what they're for. So that's one Brembo sorted. I've got another Brembo to assemble up there, so I'm going to donate everything from this spare Brembo that I've got. Can you believe it? I've got a spare Brembo lying around for some reason, but it's saved the day because I'm missing the pistons for an entire caliper somehow. Like, God knows how, because they all went in the same bag. Well, at least I thought they did. So yeah, all we need for the front end is the top plate. Now, I'm going to have a nightmare with these bleed nipples. I can see it coming. I've tried screwing in just a standard bleed nipple, and it doesn't seem to be screwing in for some reason. But yeah, that is where we're at with that. Again, I'm not going to be assembling them in this video. That'll be in a different video. But yeah, I seem to have everything I need, bar a few things, so I'm going to have to price that up. Right then, good news. I've just had a look on ICP, and you can get the tension spring for the top Brembo for £11.95 off ICP. So I've added it to my wish list, and I'll get one ordered soon. Yeah, I also need the O-rings that go in between the Brembos. They're £5.95 from somebody on eBay for two, and I've already got two. So yeah, It's stressing me out, this car is, like, knowing that I have really not got long to complete it. Right then, I just want to thank my past self, because these bolts here are the pinch bolts that are required for the hub. They go through there and squeeze the ball joint together to stop it falling out, I would assume. So, yeah, that saved myself, I don't know, God knows how much they are. They're not that expensive, but I've saved myself some money nevertheless. Still got to do the ABS sensor on this side. I've not spliced it yet, but we have got the CV axle in, which I need to do for the other side, but I'm running out of time for today. So, yeah. Right then, thank you, past Jake again. I've managed to find, while organising the Brembos, brand new suspension bolts. Can you believe it? So I've got the washers, which I was never going to use, but I didn't even realise you needed them. New nuts and new upper and lower bolts. I have found a cone for the alloy control arm, so I must have been missing one all this time, because otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. And then I found a castle nut. Well, this is the castle nut for the ball joint, and then I found some of the cotter pins, I think they're called, perhaps. I've got 4. So, yeah, all good news. And then I found these, which I don't know what these are for, if I can see in the light. I'm not sure if this is for the exhaust or if it's for the diff. I'm kind of hoping it's for the diff. But time will tell. I might have to search that part number up. Also, I found the handbrake cables, the new handbrake cables to go on, so all good stuff. Oh, and I found some bulbs because my lamp at home has died, and I've needed some E27. Can you believe it? Funny story, I went to Pound Stretcher the other day and it was closing down, and I thought to myself, I could have swore it was B22, that bulb that I needed, and it turns out I bought it home, and then it was an E27, and I've managed to find one in the shed. So there we go. It's a good day. It's a good day. There we go though. All the Brembo stuff is organised. A few things to order, and then we've got this lovely dirty Brembo to dismantle. I don't know what I'm going to do with it after. Probably not a lot. Maybe I might put it on the wall, dismantled. So yeah, that is where we're at. The shocks, I've got to spray these before I go, and I've got a bit more rust treating to do under here, as I didn't do that the first time. But yeah, I'm rambling on. The point is, I'm making some progress, despite the fact that my head's all over the place with the amount of shit I've got to do. Got to put this on before I can put the fuel fill in. There's so much to do, it's unbelievable. Right then guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I feel as if we've done an awful lot of work on the front end, so I swear, is that an air? I've just looked over there and I swear I can see the air filter box. If I've got an air filter for this car and I've gone and bought one, I'm going to be pissed. You'll never believe it. You guys won't know this yet, but I've already filmed the intro for the next video and I mentioned that I bought an air filter. I've just found the one that I originally bought. I've just wasted £7 and I thought that I had one as well. God damn it. Anyway guys, that is going to be the end of the video. I've completely lost my train of thought now. God damn it, I can't believe I wasted £7. You know what I could have bought with that £7? Some more bolts. Some more bolts perhaps. Anyway, we've done an awful lot on the front end. I'm pretty pleased with it. All that's left to do really is torque up a few bolts and, well, put the brake discs and calipers on. So, really not a great deal. If you happen to have a ton of experience with these bloody bleed nipples on the Brambos, i.e. repairing them, do let me know in the comments, as for some reason, and I might have mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it again, when I try and put in the bleed nipple, it just seems to thread the first few threads, which according to online suggests that they need repaired. So the rear Brambos aren't so bad because I've had a, back when I had them, I can't remember why I got them done. I don't know, I can't remember. I ended up getting a banjo bolt put in anyway, so it's a banjo bolt and then a bleed nipple on top. So essentially you never remove the bolt from the nipple, you just remove the nipple from the screw, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I've got one to show you. I have. I don't know if you can see that, probably not. That's the banjo bolt that is going to sit permanently in the caliper, and then you've got a nipple on top of that for bleeding. So the threads on the Brembo will never be ruined, which just seems to be a common problem on these darn calipers. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe and all of that rubbish, and I'll see you in the next one for when we're rebuilding the rear end.